Hi, this is JT Realmuto. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zielecki. It's the Phillies Show. It is Monday, June 16th, 2025. Hope everybody is doing well. I hope all the dads out there enjoyed their Father's Day. Did you guys enjoy your Father's Day?
Absolutely. Watched a little U.S. Open, little Phils.
Yeah.
Cooked a little chicken. It was an outstanding day.
Oh.
I was working, but got to spend some time with my mom Judy and my brother David, my sister-in-law, my partner Lori, and Sophia came up with us as well. My one daughter, my other one was up in New York still, but it was we had a nice little dinner. Got a chance to see JJ Spawn do his thing. Very emotional, very cool. You knew it was going to come down to the wire with how difficult that course is. I mean, do you know that I actually played that course at one point?
You?
I had a buddy of mine named Mark Flaherty, who's, God rest his soul, he passed away in the COVID era. And he was a roommate of my brother's at Duke University, and he was a controller in Pittsburgh. He was the city controller at one point. But he used to go to Pittsburgh all the time. I think he was a member there.
Wow.
And he took me there one time, a long time ago. And I don't really even remember the course that well. I probably butchered it. Yeah, man, those roughs were ridiculous.
I think the roughs were too ridiculous. I think the course is, it's like I want to see.
It's almost too hard.
Yeah, I don't want to see just survival. I want to see some great golf. And I know it's great golf having to survive that course, but it just seems like the primary goal is to just survive. I want to see a guy go out there and just excel.
Dominate.
I'm not saying you have to tear it up, but maybe a nice for the week,
a chance,
like a 6 under. But whatever.
It was amazing. Great effort at the end. That putt was so ridiculous and so cool.
Oh,
Guy's got a 2-putt and he rolls in like a 60-footer or whatever.
64 feet 5 inches. Just to put that in perspective, that's 4 feet longer than Zack Wheeler was throwing the ball to JT Realmuto on Sunday.
Oh my God! What do you guys think you shoot there today? You roll out there today.
105, brother.
I wouldn't even, I would lose all my balls by the second hole.
Based off the way I golf, I would definitely have to bring like 36 balls, and hopefully I could actually finish with one of them.
I'd like to have a caddy find my ball because I'll never be on the fairway. Like you have to actually have somebody search for your ball in the rough.
By the way, Ruben, I was in the running for closest to the pin the other day for a good part of the day at the yard at the Ashburn Callis tournament on hole number
awesome.
9.
Were you really?
For like 3 hours, and then I got bumped in the last couple rounds.
I pulled mine into the bunker, Jim. I was pin high into the bunker.
I was 13 feet 3 inches for most of, I was the leader for most of the day.
That's wonderful.
People kept coming up to me and say, "You might have a chance. You might have a chance." And then somebody got it. Somebody got it within 7 feet. So
that would have been really nice.
That would have been. It was a good event. Nice. Was that a good event?
Been nice.
It was a great event.
It went great.
Yeah, good.
Great. Thanks. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. Guys, the Phillies this weekend, they swept the Blue Jays. And this was something I did not know. It's the first time the Phillies have swept the Blue Jays in a series of 3 or more games ever. That's kind of wild, considering how long interleague play has been going on for. They've never swept the Blue Jays in a series of 3 or more games. They won 4 in a row, and they've won 5 out of 6 since they lost 9 out of 10. And last week we were talking about what kind of changes needed to be made. So that's a great time to get started today's episode with First Pitch. First Pitch, guys, brought to us by our friends at Parx Casino. Parx Casino, right off of I-95 and State Road. Last week, we're talking. You got no Bryce Harper. These guys can't get an extra base hit with a runner.
Nobody can hit.
Nobody can hit.
Sky's falling.
Season's over, right? They've lost 9 out of 10. They can only beat the Rockies, Pirates, and what other bad team do they play in that stretch? The A's. That's it.
Savannah Bananas.
Savannah Bananas.
They couldn't beat the Savannah Bananas.
And but last week they beat the Cubs 2 out of 3. A good Cubs team with a great offense.
Yeah.
And they sweep the Blue Jays, an AL wild card contender. Looking at some of the offensive numbers, just a great week from the offense. Everybody that was not hitting last week seemed to be hitting last week, starting with, JT Realmuto, Brandon Marsh, Alec Bohm, Otto Kemp, Max Kepler. All those guys had big hits this week. It was an offensive explosion. They can hit a little bit.
Good at bats. And even yesterday, Sunday, Bryson Stott 0 for 4. He saw 31 pitches. I mean, that's very beneficial to your mates up and down the lineup. They get to get a good look at the pitcher. It also wears down the pitcher. You get into the bullpen. So really good offensive performance. The whole homestand. I mean, a week ago, like you said, the sky was falling. They cobbled together really good pitching, really good starting pitching. The whole homestand, 6 games, 2.5 ERA, and they averaged over 6 runs a game throughout the homestand. Hit 322. So it was really a great one. I mean, now they're 2.5 back of the Mets, and I know they got 4 in Miami, but gosh, that lining up to be a great series against the Mets next weekend.
It really could be. I was just impressed with everybody sort of contributing. The 2 guys in particular for me who really picked it up, who I have been disappointed with and had a high expectations for, were Marsh and Kepler. Those guys seem to put together some pretty darn good at bats. Marsh is really hot. It was like 8 for 13 going into yesterday's game or whatever. Didn't have a great game yesterday, but then Kepler picked it up with a couple of hits, hit a big home run. Both of those guys had basically game-winning extra base hits. It's nice to see those guys do some damage because they were getting really almost nothing out of them. But it was one of those team efforts. See, yesterday's game, 6 players had multiple hits. 6. And 10 players had hits. Even the guys off the bench were raking.
Mm-hmm.
Weston Wilson got a knock. Marchand got a knock. But other than that, I mean, 6 guys got more than 2 hits, more than 1 hit in that lineup. And that's doing some damage against a very good pitcher who had been outstanding. There was that narrative that these guys can't hit good pitching. Right. Well, they did a pretty good job against Gausman, and they did a really good job against Barrios. The other guy, Bowden Francis, kind of stinks, and they didn't do too much damage against him. But they did enough to be able to win the baseball game.
Brandon Marsh, Ruben, you said had 8 hits last week. And as I'm watching these games, I looked this up just this morning. I was like, God, he seems to be hitting the ball. I feel like every ball he hit was to left field, left center field. 6 of his 8 hits this week were center field, left of center field, and same thing with JT. I'm watching every time I looked up, he's slicing a ball down to the right field line, into the corner, to right field, to right center field. He had 9 hits this past week, 7 of them to the opposite field. So both of those guys hitting the ball the opposite field, kind of just given what the pitcher gives you, I guess.
Marsh has got a knack, I've noticed, for like when the heat gets turned up and people start questioning whether he should be sent down or be relegated to the bench, and somebody's kind of nipping at his toes like Crawford up there in AAA. He sort of gets in those situations and he turns it on.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, I was an advocate of switching him out. If he didn't in the next week or so or two, and he continues not to do anything, I mean, he hasn't been playing the best center field. He hasn't really had not been contributing offensively, but I mean, you got to give him credit. He stepped it up when he needed to step it up, and he helped them win some baseball games, and he's making that lineup deeper. Otherwise, if those guys in the back end of the lineup aren't doing anything, it's sort of dead right now, especially with Stott back there, who can't seem to be able to get to the fastball consistently, even though he's still putting together good at bats. He just seems to not be able to get. He's working underneath the ball. He's not using that top hand like he did a couple of years ago, so consistently, and he just keeps fouling balls back and fouling a 94 mile an hour, fastball back and 95, and not being able to get to it, and he's just not using that top hand the way he had used it before when he started to really come on as an offensive player. There's some kind of adjustment I think he's got to make because he needs to contribute to this offense too.
Yeah. Well, Max Kepler too, kind of, right? I mean, everybody's talking about him in left field, his production in left field. It's so funny that the last week, both of those guys have stepped up. The only guy in the lineup this past week that had 10 or more at bats that did not have an OPS of 800 or better. That shows you how well the Phillies were hitting the ball was Bryson Stott. He struggled this week, but I mean, Kyle Schwarber, he only hit 190, but he walked 7 times.
Yep.
He hit 2 home runs.
Shocking.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, even when he's not hitting, at least he's getting on base. Bohm hit 417. Otto Kemp hit 417. Realmuto hit 409. Kepler hit 353. Turner hit 304. Castellanos hit 250, but with a double, triple homer, 4 RBIs, couple walks, and like I mentioned, Schwarber. So, the entire lineup up and down, just getting on base, scoring some runs.
And look at the starting pitching they got throughout the series. Right. They had one. I mean, everything was 6 and 7s. I think Mick Gable only went 4. I was looking at Fangraphs this morning. They are number 1 starting pitching WAR, 9.1. Their starting pitchers have a 9.1 WAR. I don't know if you're a WAR fan. I think it makes Ruben's head spin a little bit, but
yep.
The next closest starting staff is the Houston Astros at 7.4. So the Phillies are
head and shoulders.
They're leading the majors in strikeouts. Just starting the rotation. I mean, Rangers putting together a stretch here that has been terrific.
Yeah, just to talk about the starting pitching. I mean, a quality starts means something to me. I mean, you get 6 innings in this day and age. You get 6 innings. They got 5 out of 6 quality starts.
They're number 1 in the majors with 39 of them. Number 1 in the majors.
Yeah, it's not even close. And I do believe that's why I keep saying the same thing. I think their starting pitching is the best in baseball as far as depth is concerned throughout. And I really honestly believe that that's what's going to keep them. At the end of the day, it's going to keep them being a contending team, not just for this year, but for years beyond. People are talking about, well, if they don't win the World Series, they'll have to break up this team. Okay. You're going to probably just lose Ranger Suárez. You're going to replace him with a guy like Painter or Abel. It's still going to be a damn good starting rotation.
Okay. And speaking of pitching, that was our first pitch powered by the betPARX Sportsbook and Casino app. Number 1 in Pennsylvania. Number 1 Sportsbook and Casino in Pennsylvania, right up there off the Turnpike in Bensalem. Great place to spend a day. All those TVs, watch every game. Great restaurants and thoroughbred racing. And but you got to be 21. You must be 21. Don't even think about it if you're not 21. Right, Todd?
That's right.
Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is summertime. We are in the thick of golf season. It's always golf season down in Florida, but we're in the thick of golf season across the country, and someone's looking to get a new club. That logo should say it all. PXG. What do they do?
Go get fitted. Mm-hmm. Go get fitted by one of their master fitters, professional fitters. I've done it. It's helped shave many strokes off my handicap. It is worth it. It's educational. You learn about not only clubs, you learn about shafts, you learn about grips, you learn about angles. They have all the numbers, all the setups that you need to help improve your handicap.
You feel like a VIP when you're there.
100%. They even help my putting, which needed help.
Mm-hmm. They help your putting there. That's how cool it is. So schedule your fitting today, and for a limited time, you could save up to 20% on your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/foul. That's pxg.com/foul to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/foul. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Hey, we're back. It is Monday, and guys, you know what we do on Monday?
Oh, yeah.
We do Manco Best Week. Manco Best Week. It's where we pick our best Phillies player, performance, play. Sometimes we go off the beaten path. Jimmy's dipped down into AAA a couple times, right?
I even dipped down to the University of Louisville with Ted Davis one day.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of dipping.
They won a big game yesterday. They staved off elimination. Big rally over the Arizona Wildcats.
Did you guys see how nervous Ben Davis was?
Oh my God!
He couldn't even breathe. I mean, I guarantee he had absolutely no saliva in his mouth.
Big Supper was he was sweating bullets, but I tell you what,
it was awesome.
His kid is a specimen.
No kidding.
Well, he's a beast.
Well, so before we get into best week, I do want to mention every month we do give away a Manco and Manco gift card. So if you're going down to the shore, I mean, you got it. You're stopping by Manco and Manco. So this month, simply follow the Phillies Show at the Phillies Show on X for a chance to win a Manco and Manco gift card. Reply the word done underneath the post. We're going to post it up on social media in a little bit, and that enters you into the contest to win a Manco and Manco gift card.
Nice.
So, guys, who wants to kick it off? I feel like last week I kicked it off.
I want to kick it off.
All right,
Ruben's
Ruben,
leading
go for
off.
it, buddy.
I'm a leadoff guy today, like I did in the minor leagues so nicely. At that 400 on base percentage I had. Anyway, my too bad I couldn't do it at the big league level.
That's back when you were huge on the streets of Edmonton.
That's exactly right.
Or Calgary.
Edmonton and Midland, Texas. Hey, so anyway, here's who I got. You know, Alec Bohm had the most horrific start of the season you could possibly have, and he was taking a ton of heat. They should have traded this guy, get rid of this guy. He stinks. He's got a bad attitude, blah, 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 and has a horrendous start to the season, which exacerbated the issues with the fans here in Philly. Well, guess what? This man's been in fuego. And the fact that he's done it at the most perfect time with Bryce Harper out is gigantic, because if they didn't have him going on in fuego, then there'd be a real issue, because Schwarber would never get a pitch to hit. Now, he's still being carefully pitched right now, but the fact that Alec Bohm is coming through with big RBIs, big hits, he's hit a couple homers lately. He doesn't get extended a lot, and he doesn't hit the ball out front a lot, but he's getting a ton of hits. He's come a long freaking way to hit, I don't know, whatever he's hitting, like 285 or 290 now. He started off the first month or month and a half of the season in about 080. For him to bounce back and do what he's done, and at this time, move to first base, now back to third base. You can say a lot of things about Alec Bohm, but you can't say anything about his overall production, his ability to put the bat on the ball and be productive as a hitter. And I got to give the kid a lot of credit. He's gone through a lot of stuff here in Philadelphia, and he's kept his head above water, and he's doing some damage right now at the biggest moment when Bryce Harper's out. So he is my best of the week.
Been great for like about 5 weeks.
Really good.
I don't have a problem if he smashes an occasional helmet. It's like what you do after that. If you're going to carry it and let it bring you down for the next 5 at bats. He smashed one the other night against the Cubs, and he bounced back really good. And I actually think we ought to think about maybe like doing a live podcast someday and having like a helmet smashing contest, and letting the fans come in.
I was pretty darn good at that when I was playing in AA and AAA, man. I snapped when I didn't get hit.
You're frustrated. You care a lot.
It's a frustrating game.
It's
So what happens in AA and AAA back then when you break a helmet? You have to pay for a new one?
Oh yeah.
You get the bill? You get the bill for that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And trash cans in other stadiums, yeah. You beat the crap out of those. I loved when you snapped in the big leagues, and Vuk would be sitting there. And you'd be swinging and whacking the crap out of something, right? You'd be banging the hell out of like the wall, and he'd be like, "That's a better swing. Good swing. That's a good swing." Vuki, I love it.
That's great. That's awesome. Jim, who you got?
Oh, for my Mancos and Mancos best of the week, I'm going to give. I really had to think this one through because there were a lot of good candidates this week.
Mm-hmm.
I love Ruben's choice. The starting rotation, Ranger, Wheeler. I mean, the guy who catches him, JT. What a homestand JT had. 6 games, 4 multi-hit games, hit 409, 980 OPS, all after, taking one in the fruit bowl the other night. And that's no laughing matter. That can really.
You made it a laughing matter. Dropped the fruit bowl on his ass.
Well, that was really, that can really mess you up. But anyway, none of the above. I'm giving mine to Orion Kirkring. Love what I'm seeing. I don't know that he's going to get near my off the wall preseason prediction of 22 saves, but loving what I'm seeing of this guy. Last 18 appearances for Orion Kirkring, 1 run, last 15, 0 runs, and a whole bunch of big outs. So he gets a nice gooey slice of the pie, like the cheese dripping down.
Great call,
that,
man. Good. You know what he's doing really well, Jim, is using his fastball again, man. And I knew that the hitters were sitting on that slider and slider and slider. He's throwing it all the time. He's throwing it. That was the only pitch he could throw for strikes. He's using that sinker and that four-seamer much, much better, and it's making that slider so much better. I love the confidence that he's showing now. He's like sort of pitching the way he was pitching in the minor leagues and when he first came up, like no fear. Good stuff. Great call.
I mean, he's just, he's coming at you with big cojones, attacking. Love it.
Yeah, I love it.
And they need.
I like the cojones reference. Solid.
Fruit bowls,
bilingual.
cojones.
You're bilingual.
What's Jim go? What is he doing this morning? Fruit balls, cojones. He's doing it all this morning. Oh my God.
I'm bilingual. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?
Yeah, nice.
You sound like a native speaker there with that accent. I love it.
Whitest guy ever.
So last week when things were going really south, I was struggling. I said, I'm going to go with Otto Kemp because the long journey that he took to get to this point, to get to the big leagues, undrafted amateur free agent, got overlooked by everybody, coming out of a Division II school, gets promoted. It was a nice little story. And then this past week, Otto Kemp goes 10 for 24, double, 4 RBIs, 898 OPS. He's the first Phillies player to have multiple games with 3 or more hits in the first 8 career games since Art Mahan had 3 of those games in his first 6 career games in 1940. You guys remember Art Mahan at all? Does that name ring a bell?
No, I think I missed that by 1 hit.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that right? Well, Art Mahan was the former Villanova. Long time after his playing career, he played 1 season for the Phillies in 1940. He was a Villanova baseball coach and longtime AD. So,
cool.
Yeah. So I'm going with Otto Kemp. If you can't figure that out, he had just a great week by him. Great story, and team looking for offense. You see him put up those numbers in AAA. Who knows what the rest of the season is going to look like for Otto Kemp? Who knows how much he's going to play? Who knows where he's going to play? Who knows how it's going to play out? But this week, great week by him. Everybody was wondering after seeing the success he had at all levels for the Phillies, particularly this season in AAA. So congratulations to Otto Kemp on a big week.
Hey, the good thing about this is, we had a ton of choices. That's how good the week was. Yes. We could have chosen, best of the week could have been like 10 different guys. And and that's a really good sign of a more complete ball club.
He's a good, impressive the way he stays back on breaking balls. Yesterday, a couple breaking balls down, tough pitches. He got the bat head to them, stayed back, drove them for base hits. He's got a good stick, man. They're looking for, if they could get a right-handed bat in left field, that would be an awfully nice platoon with Kepler, I think. But he's only played 7 games in his entire pro career in left field. I know they're going to work him out there, see what happens. But, man, that would be something I definitely would take a peek at. I know defense is a shortcoming for him. He's playing first base. He's had a couple little struggles over there, but the bat is impressive. When I look at Otto Kemp, 25, almost 26 years old, when he was in college, I think somebody should have, and he was an infielder, somebody should have said, have you ever tried catching? Because
I agree with that.
With that bat.
I agree with that.
With that
Absolutely
bat,
agree.
He could, you in a premium position like that, that's, always on the lookout for a kid who can convert to catching. And then you can really
elevate.
You can move quick if you can catch. So
that's a great point, man.
I don't know if it's too late now, but it's
maybe I should have made you my scout instead of that's the area scout. I could have made you like a real scout instead of being an area scout.
I tell dads all the time around here, he's a good little player. Make him, at least put it in his toolbox. Teach him to catch so he has it as he moves up. Because as you move up, shortstop, middle infield, they all get tougher.
Hey, there's no more premium position than there is catcher. It's simple.
If you got a decent bat and you got some hands and a head, you can go behind the plate and you can take this game a long way.
Yeah, I mean, JT could have been, a best week player of the week nominee. I mean, what
He was a shortstop.
Yeah, if this is a sign of him though getting things turned around, it would be so big because going into his free agent year for him personally, for this team overall to get him going, man. Because the first several weeks of the season we've been talking about how he's his career numbers right now line up to be the lowest of his career. Man, if he could get going a little bit and just provide a little bit more punch at the bottom of that bottom third, that bottom half of that lineup, it would be
that'd be great. And it's really about and he's pretty stubborn about it. It's really about his timing on his leg kick. I don't think everybody's like, oh, JT's toast. He's toast. He's not toast. He's one of the best. The man is one of the better athletes there are on the field. He and Marsh, I think, are two of the best athletes they've got. I mean, really fantastic athletes, and he keeps himself in tremendous shape. I mean, he's catching every day. He's still catching well. Doing all those things. He's not toast. It's just a matter of him being able to get his foot down in time, and I think that timing mechanism throws him off for a while and makes him a little bit more streaky than he used to be.
I'm really happy for him. He had a really good homestand. There is no more dedicated Philly. There is no more durable Philly, no tougher guy. He takes a beating and he keeps coming back. So it was great to see him swing like that in that homestand.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Ruben, we were talking at the top of the show. We were talking about Parx. You hit up Parx every once in a while, right? You're
when I was up
county guy.
When I was up in Bucks County, I used to do it all the time. It's my casino of choice. I mean, besides the gambling stuff, they have basically everything. I mean, they have the slots, they have the state-of-the-art sports book, they got the poker room, but they have a lot more than that. I mean, it's sort of a destination place. It really is. There's places to eat. I mean, you want to get your food on. I mean, there's some great places to eat. The Park Grill Steakhouse, the Bamboo Noodle House, the Gastropub, Liberty Bell Gastropub, Chickies and Pete's I've gone to several times. On top of the gambling stuff, I mean, I've gone and done the entertainment. They've had headliners. They've had, all types of stuff. I've gone to see Old Dominion there. They have some great stuff. Some tons of comedians. Ken Young, I've seen. Nikki Glazer, I've seen there as well. I mean, so over the years, I've seen a lot of stuff there, and it's a really great place to just hang out. I mean, you don't just have to go, to gamble necessarily. You can go do some gambling, obviously, but you can also go and just have some fun. And I think they got a couple of great headliners coming up on July 12th. It's a comedian, Mark Norman, who's really darn good. And then as far as entertainment, they got the pop band UB40. That's a pretty popular band. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on there at Parx Casino, and I'm excited about getting back there sometime soon, taking the family. And by the way, you got to be 21, guys, because if you have a gambling problem, you got to call 1-800-GAMBLER. Just saying.
Just saying.
Got to follow the rules.
Got to follow the rules.
You got to
have fun. Follow the rules. Have fun. Follow the rules. I was thinking about the show today, Monday morning, and then what are we going to talk about today? What are we going to talk about? Well, a lot of stuff to talk about. The team goes 5-6, or wins 5 out of 6 during a homestand, and then last night the Red Sox sweep the Yankees, and then Rafael Devers, they kick his butt off the plane. Traded to the Giants.
Wow.
What did that blow you away? And really kicking off the trade deadline before 6 weeks ahead of time.
So I will tell you this. Jeff Barry, who's one of the, Buster Posey's advisors, used to be his agent. Now he's part of the advisory group, I think, in that organization. I've had some discussions with him after Buster got his job because, Buster was the kind of guy that I'd love to work with. So I talked to him about the possibility of maybe doing that at some point, but that didn't happen, obviously. And they made, really good decisions, brought some other people back, but he's a baseball guy. He's old school, man. He's bold. He won. That's why he immediately got the shortstop. He knew he needed a shortstop to solidify the middle of his diamond. Got Adames. He knew he had a great third baseman defensively already. Knows he needs some offense, and he went out and made a bold move to get a really damn good hitter, one of the best left-handers in baseball, And they do have, they got some money over there in San Francisco. But I love the move, man. This guy wants to win. He wants to put the San Francisco Giants back on the map, and he's doing it with a guy who's disgruntled in Boston. I don't think they handled it at all well with him bouncing around with the Bregman thing and the DH and the first base and all that stuff, and they sort of disrespected him. He was probably upset with it, and now he's going to get a lot of respect there in San Francisco, and he's probably going to rake.
Yeah, that's a great.
And he's a guy who will use the whole field, right, Ruben?
Oh, my goodness. And with power.
And you better use the whole field at home at San Francisco's ballpark.
Because all those ballparks on the left coast, because they're big. They're not small. I mean, LA's pretty big, even San Diego. San Diego can be tough to hit the ball out of the ballpark. So, I mean, you need guys who can hit, and he can hit for power. I mean, they haven't had a 30 home run guy in how long? Since Barry Bonds, bruh. They haven't had a 30 home run guy since Barry Bonds. Think about that for a second. That's insane.
That is insane.
But this guy's got pop and he can hit, and wherever he plays, whether it's DH, first base, I guarantee you this: they're going to have a conversation with the guy, and they're going to talk to him about what he wants to do and where they're going to play him and all this stuff. I know Chapman's on the IL right now. He might play a little third base in the beginning. He might not, but I'm sure they'll have a conversation with the man, which he deserves and deserved, before things happen, so that they know exactly where he stands, and he knows exactly where he stands.
I could see him learning to play first base and playing some first base over there, almost like, well, I'll do it for you because you guys showed me respect. You just didn't yank the rug out from under me like they did in Boston. I'll do it.
Tell me what I'm going to do after I'm an iconic player there, and you sign me to a 10-year, 12-year deal.
Yeah. Right. They
didn't handle it. They didn't handle it well.
No bueno.
It makes me wonder if you think about the Phillies and what a shocker that trade was on Sunday night, and you go, oh man, I wonder if the Phillies could pull off something similar, get a guy that you're not even thinking about getting before the July 31st trade deadline. Is there a player out there, that would just absolutely floor everybody? Because I think most of the guys we've been talking about over the past several weeks have been more along the, potential closers, which they need. They need some of those guys, Pete Fairbanks, probably not, maybe Aroldis Chapman if the Red Sox fall out, they sell.
That's a good name.
Kenley Jansen, somebody like that, just some back end bullpen pieces.
There's a lot of them.
I mean, Ryan Helsley probably not going to get the Cardinals are.
Who's pitching his took us off right now is Estevez.
He is. Yes. He's had a great year. He wanted to come back, but
I know he did. I'm just saying,
wouldn't do a multi-year deal.
You never know. And Casey's probably still in it, sort of. And I think that they're, I haven't looked at the standings as of late where that Central's going on. But hey, man, you never know.
Yeah,
you never know.
Yeah, you never. But I mean, those are kind of the expected names. I was just thinking, like, man, is there like you talk about offensive production,
random guy?
Yeah, a rando guy, big bat guy that Philly would just go crazy about. Holy crap! I don't know if that guy's out there this year. Everybody everybody always talks about Mike Trout, and could the Phillies get Mike Trout back? And I remember a couple of years ago I asked about him, maybe even a year ago. I was like, the guy is always hurt, and he is always hurt
again.
So he's hurt again, and he's back in the lineup now. He's DHing. He's back in the lineup now. He's DHing, and I think he went out in the past week. He went out and just shagged some balls in the outfield, and the knee was a little bit sore. So, Ron Washington the other day, last week, said, if Mike says he wants to DH through the All-Star break, he's going to DH through the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, if he says he wants to DH the rest of the season, he's going to DH the rest of the season. We're not going to put him in harm's way.
That makes sense. That just makes sense. Just sit him down and let him just DH and hit, and hopefully he stays on the field. I mean, that's what I would do with them. And then maybe becomes a more tradable commodity for the Angels. Right.
I mean,
I don't know. Maybe it becomes a more tradable commodity. I have to say that, people keep talking about the center fielder in Chicago. What's his name?
Robert.
I mean, the dude's had horrendous seasons. He's hurt and he doesn't play well. I mean, why would you want to play? Why would you want a player that stinks?
Right.
He stinks right now.
Right.
Why would you want to play just because he's Luis Robert? Because he has a nice name? I don't get it.
He had a few good years a few years ago, but he hasn't been very good the last couple of years. So
it's been terrible. I don't care whether it's a good team. Oh, maybe get rejuvenated in a good team. Dude, you got to prove it to me. I don't care whether you're a good player on a good team or a bad team. You got to prove it every day, and especially here in Philadelphia, things go shit south.
I know. I do agree with
that.
I do agree with the whole, get rejuvenated type of thing. You go from a really awful team where you have no hope of winning, but his numbers have gone so far south. I'm like, you can't play a little bit better. I remember that was kind of the case with Roy Oswalt in 2010, Ruben, when he got him. He wasn't pitching his great, but he was pitching well enough where you're like, this guy can help us win.
He still had good stuff. He still had good stuff. And he just wasn't nearly as invested because the team wasn't invested. I understand that, but then he pitched his ass off for us. He was phenomenal. I mean, people talk about Cliff Lee, but what about his numbers when he came over?
Oh, he was
insane.
He had an ERA under 2 in 2010 when you guys brought him over. And it's not like Roy Oswalt had a 6 ERA and then he came to Philly. His ERA was in the mid 3s when you guys brought him over in 2010. So a couple more things, guys. Want to mention this. Andrew Painter on Sunday in AAA, 5 scoreless innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Noteworthy for a couple of reasons. One is that was his first time pitching on regular rest. He pitched Tuesday in AAA, got hit around a little bit. He really kind of struggled in his last 2 starts, but then had a real nice start on Sunday for the Iron Pigs. So he's 3-2, 4.35 ERA, I believe, in his last, or maybe that was before that, 7 starts. And then this week, the Phillies are in Miami to play the Marlins. Monday, I'm going to go over these pitching matchups real quick. Monday, 6:40 start, Mick Abel versus Sandy Alcantara. How was that for pronunciation?
He's had 2 good ones.
He's
had Alcantara, tough year, but he might be getting it together. Two good ones coming off 2 good ones.
He does not pitch well against the Phillies, which I hope he continues
Actually,
now.
he pitches well against the Phillies. He just always loses 2-1.
That's a good point. Well, the last time he pitched against the Phillies, he didn't pitch that well. He got lit up.
He was coming back with that new elbow. I mean, he's starting to get it together. I still think he might have 2 great months later on this season, and somebody might get a nice score.
Oh, someone's going to get a good one. That's a Roy Oswalt type
hired gun with control.
Oof. Everybody was freaking out about the mayor. Pardon me?
No, he's got another year. I think another 1 year.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Sandy is 3-7 with a 7.14 ERA. Jim, to your point, you look at those numbers, you go, oh my gosh, he still stinks. He's not back from the Tommy John surgery, but in his last 2 starts, 1.50 ERA. Striking out 10, walking 2 in 10 innings. So he's kind of getting it turned around. So Monday night's going to be interesting for that reason. What kind of version of him are you going to get? Former Cy Young winner. And then Mick Abel coming off his first bad start in the big leagues. Yes. Is he going to rebound? Is he going to walk some guys? What kind of version of Mick Abel you're going to get? So that's a very interesting matchup on Monday night. Tuesday night, Jesús Luzardo, coming off that real nice start. If you didn't listen to the Luzardo interview with us on Friday, make sure you go check that out. He's pitching against Cal Quantrill. Wednesday night, Ranger Suárez versus TBD. I haven't seen the Marlins post who's going to pitch on Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, Cristopher Sánchez versus Edward Cabrera. So
really interesting Abel discussion, because if Abel does not bat, and always this is me. This is where I sort of gauge young players, and I think he's really poised. He's looked poised. He's looked under control as far as his emotions are concerned. A very serious kid. If he can't bounce back and be consistent, how long does he pitch before the discussion about Andrew Painter flipping in instead of him? And then flipping him out. I mean, that's a possibility because if it's a performance-based game, and if Andrew Painter's ready physically, and he get into July or closer to July, when now he's pitching on 5 days rest, and now he's getting ready to roll. If he gets on a roll, do they flip him for Mick Abel? And obviously we don't have Nola here. He's not coming back for at least till August, I think.
Well, they've said they want to give Painter a little breather at the All-Star break, but look, it's getting closer. And it's getting closer for Crawford as well. You know, you got it. Like you said, performance-based. You perform, you will stay out there. But all of a sudden, Andrew Painter's going to be nipping at people's toes here, and Justin Crawford as well.
Yeah. So we will be back later this week. Talk to you guys later.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.